Go ahead and call the meeting to order. I ask Commissioner Stewart, please lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Please stand and join us. Heavenly Father, again, we thank you for this opportunity to come and serve our citizens. Lord, I thank you for this beautiful place you've given us that we call Wakulla County. Lord, I just ask that you bless us here tonight with wisdom, Lord, as we do the business of the county. We ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome. Thank you all for coming out tonight. If you would like to speak, you have several opportunities to do so. We have a citizens to be heard at the beginning and one at the end. You can speak at either one of those, and also on each individual agenda item. Please fill out a speaker card with Miss Patty, and when you come up, give us your name and address so the folks at home can hear you as well. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Keep Wakulla County Beautiful will not be making a presentation tonight.
Table for the next meeting.
Okay.
Motion to approve the agenda is modified.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Patty, citizens to be heard? None for the first one.
Move approval of consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hear none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. That moves us into general business, item number 6.
Yes, this is a request for the board to select 2 members to serve on the Code Enforcement Board and to approve the related resolution appointing the selected members. Staff would also request that the board, upon selecting 2 members from the list provided, also determine which terms these 2 members will serve for. One is scheduled to expire in December of 2020, while the other will expire in December of this year.
I'll make a motion to Jessica Johnson for the shorter of the 2 terms, and Dr. Harvey Linebeck is the other one.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any citizens?
The reason I chose the doctor is apparently all the Code Enforcement Board members are from Crawfordville, and he does live in Panacea.
A little diversity of the
Yeah.
community.
Very good. Further discussion? Hear none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. And next, tab 19.
This agenda item requests board to select members and alternates to serve on the Animal Control Appeals Board and approval of resolution appointing selected members.
Make a motion for Bobby Butter, is that the law enforcement officer, Summer?
Yeah.
And the Chastity Crum.
And we need alternates as well, right? So we need to select all 4.
Select all 4 of the other 2.
That's easy. All right, I'll select all 4.
Well, we got to
Those 2
identify.
primaries.
Yes,
Primaries
the 2 I
is-
said was primaries.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Motion and a second. Any citizens? Hear none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. All right. That ends our general business. Public hearing, item number 7.
I'll take this one, sorry. I was trying to get down the last vote. This item is to request board approval to conduct a public hearing and adopt an ordinance amending section 27.050 of the county code relating to littering. These are the prior amendments that we have discussed to increase the fines and also to impose mandatory litter gathering community service for various offenses. This will be done under the auspices of the Wakulla County Sheriff.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any citizens? Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Tab number 8.
This is a request for the board's approval to conduct a public hearing and adopt an ordinance which amends section 6-18 subsection M of the LDC pertaining to violations and enforcement of the county sign regulations.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Just because we do have a few new people here, this allows the county road department to pick up these signs off the side of the road that aren't supposed to be there, that's in the right-of-way, and just throw them away.
Correct.
We have a motion and a second. Any citizens? Further discussion from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item number 9.
This is a request for the board's approval to conduct a public hearing and adopt an ordinance related to the ear-based comprehensive plan text amendments. This is related to the conservation element.
Mr. Chairman, if you'll indulge me, talked to our county attorney about this. There are no citizens scheduled to speak on it. They're all ear adoptions of stuff we've already looked at. I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and adopt all of them,
In one group.
if nobody has any objections.
Do we have a second?
Second. Well,
Mr. Chairman, there is one change in
Did you want to
tab
talk about one? Maybe you do.
14, I
they're gonna
believe.
make,
That's correct. I'm trying to get there so I can read this minor change off to you guys. Bear with me just a second, I apologize. In various elements or various policies of the future land use element within the comp plan, it spells out density allowances for properties that contain wetlands. Currently, as proposed this evening, it states that in calculating residential density for areas in which wetlands are present, the density shall be permitted at an overall density of 1 unit per either 20 or 40 acres. That is a minor modification from what is currently existing in the comp plan, and staff is proposing that we actually go back to the existing language, which would read, in calculating residential density areas which are in wetlands, the density shall be permitted at an overall density of 1 unit per either 20 or 40
I'll
acres.
modify my motion to accept that change.
About a second. Got a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, so let's see where that takes us. How many do we get through?
Hearing.
That ends our public hearings, correct?
Yes.
No planning and zoning items, commissioner agenda items, Commissioner Moore.
This agenda item was brought to me, and basically, we just need to approve it to put somebody on that board.
I'll second your motion.
All right, any citizens? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. That ends our commissioner agenda items. County attorney.
A couple of brief announcements. One, pursuant to your board direction, in a previous meeting, we have sent notice to the owner, Creative Outdoor, of the school bus shelters signs that are, there's about 7 sites in the county, asking them to remove their facilities or the county will remove them.
They replied?
They have not replied, but that just went out, when did you, last week?
Last week.
It just went out last week, and we asked them to contact us with a mutually agreeable schedule. We know they have to.
Did anybody
mobilize
reach
some
out to Blue
resources.
Water Realty to tell them they were fixing to lose a lot of their advertising signs?
No, we don't want
That's
to,
not
we don't want to get in the middle of that
Yeah.
contractual relationship between those two entities, so we would leave that up to Creative Outdoor to
My
do.
daughter's spending the night with their daughter tonight, so maybe I'll get her to tell them.
The ball is in creative outdoors. It's up to them.
Their daughter Molly and my daughter, big buddies.
It's up to them, not us.
That's all.
All right, county administrator.
Just to let you know, our next meeting is July 16th. We'll just have one meeting in the month of July, so just letting you know that. Other than that, that's it.
Okay. Citizens to be heard, number 2? No, discussion items?
Which I told you earlier, the CRTPA approved adding the Leon County section of 319 to the long-term plan. It wasn't even in there at all before, but now it's been added to the plan. I think it's number 9 out of the top 10 or 8, something like that. It's up there pretty high. It's not funded, but DOT only funds stuff on the 5-year plan that are in that plan, so. It's coming, and the construction starts Monday on the other part.
Big day, finally coming. Chuck?
it's kind of surprising we're going for 4-lane to 2-lane to 4-lane. That's, I still think we need to be some focus on advocating for what we want in the widening in Crawfordville, and we need to do it now while their plans aren't completely set. So, you know, workshop, I don't know what you want to do, but, you know, we can sit here and complain, talk about it later, but there's a lot of problems that we need to address now as the Crawfordville planning for the widening takes place. moves forward.
We're going to be meeting with DOT
Thursday.
this week.
Thursday.
Thursday, to bring up some issues that we have. So the issues that were brought forward and some other issues, so.
Do they have a topo of the area that they've already done? that maybe we could look and see.
Yeah, as far as stormwater, this, we'll talk about stormwater, but it's intersections and stuff like that.
Is it like, you know, one of the problems with the Jerry Moore intersection was the turn to the right, and we're going to have that same issue here at Bayleaf Market when that happens, because the people are going to want to turn right, and they're going to stop in traffic to make that turn. So we, you know, if we're going to do that, we need to.
All we can do is suggest.
And I noticed they took out the access we asked for if you're southbound to get to Bayleaf Market. We asked them for
And we're gonna talk about that.
curb cut right there.
Yes, those are things that we're going to talk about, and we've got some other intersections that we want to talk about, and see what we can work out with them.
The access control is going to be the most heartburn for people.
That's the most
DOT
heartburn.
really, they don't want you cutting across lanes of traffic to get to a business. They want it controlled.
I'm all for access control.
I know, I'm just saying that's
I want
gonna
to
be
have good intersections.
Yeah, that's going to be the
and
biggest heartburn for people.
That's going to be the biggest heartburn. I mean, people were objecting to the two-way pairs because of they'd have to turn right to turn left. Well, they're still going to have to turn right to turn left. So it doesn't. The two-way pair was actually a much better thing for the community, but we're past that now. So.
When you have your meeting?
I like
Thursday.
This Thursday.
Anything further?
I want to talk just a minute about, at our last meeting, we spoke about the ban of swimming near boat ramps. Just to kind of throw out maybe a different way to think about this. One, I think we should separate that issue from the Lake Ellen issue. That way all five of us have a chance to vote.
I would
on
agree with that.
Yeah, and so I would like to do that. Another thing, basically, you know, no one is advocating anyone to swim near moving boat motors, and no more so than we're advocating people to cross the street when there's active traffic coming. I would like for us to maybe think about, instead of having a ban on swimming, that we have, and we've got a penalty in place for people that don't follow that. Maybe let's look at it as, let's establish a clear right-of-way, that boats and trailers and vehicles have the right-of-way in this area. Let's keep that same ban, and I haven't had a chance to discuss with the attorney, so she may tell me we can't do this. But let's keep that same penalty in place for someone that fails to, a swimmer or a pedestrian that fails to yield the right-of-way to a boater or to a trailer. We still keep that. I think it's a second-degree misdemeanor if someone's found in violation. Let's keep that, or let's even make it harder as far as I'm concerned. You know, because my thinking is if you go down there today and for 10 hours there's never a boat put in that water, why would it bother anyone that someone's out there swimming? But we certainly need to make sure that we don't set this up so there's a clash, you know. But every day, I went by the upper bridge and the lower bridge yesterday, and there were clusters of boats out there anchored, and there were people swimming, there were people tubing, there were people using their boats, there were boats coming and going. We coexist with traffic, with the roads and with crosswalks, and I think we can do the exact same thing with the boats. But I think we need to make it very responsible and make it, let's put some signage up there that you know, require people to yield the right-of-way when boats are either coming to or when trailers are coming toward the water, and that way law enforcement still has the exact same ability to enforce those conflicts as they may arise. Just wanted to throw that out.
Everything Ralph's saying legal?
I'll have to look at it. I'm not sure how that would work, so.
I don't personally have a problem. I know Chuck and I aren't going to vote on Lake Ellen specifically, but, you know, again, just go back to the upper bridge up there, that boat ramp just got improved. You remember kids jumping off the bridge? I mean, we don't want that, but people swim around boats all the time.
I don't have any problem with people swimming around boats and boat landings. It's the problem to me. It always comes as when you're having the boat landing being used as a ski.
I agree. You know, it should just be loading and unloading only.
Loading and unloading shouldn't be a problem in swimming in that situation. But skiing, you know, when you're water skiing, the boat's going to come in quick. You know, there's all sorts of hazards take place during that transition.
Right.
And so that's what you have to regulate, is that transition. And so in just because I'm familiar with Lake Ellen, a lot of people that were coming down to ski were starting and stopping from the boat ramp. Okay, and
We've restricted that to 25 horse.
I'm just saying that's why it's an issue at Lake Ellen. But it's not an issue with Wakulla River because you're not going to ski on Wakulla River. And so that's
Well, further down the river, but not.
not up there where that's occurring. And so you're not going to have the pickup and drop off at that point. So that's the activity you have to keep separate from swimming. Okay.
Good deal. And we're not deciding anything. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. I think there's a path forward that we can do both. We can have, safe boating and swimming and, and I've kind of thought this thing through that, what if someone's out there standing out there waist deep and they're not swimming at all? They're just standing there cooling off, but they can still block the boat traffic. They can still be in jeopardy there, but technically they're not in violation of our ordinance because they're not swimming. And so what would we do then? Say, well, no wading or swimming. And then when the churches go down there and baptize people, now they're in violation. And so I think we need to find a way to deal with the folks that are causing a problem and have a penalty in place for that. And when there's not a negative impact, allow people to go down there and take a dip. That's all I have.
Is that my phone? God damn.
Before you go to Jerry, can you update us on your meeting you had today with DEP?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I'm curious because I've had people asking me that question.
Just about BMAP?
BMAP, yeah.
Let's see what they said.
So with the Small County Coalition, we asked them to just put together a presentation. We had Drew Bartlett, the Deputy Secretary of DEP. We had Department of Health. We had Department of Agriculture. Adam Putnam's number 2 person, just to give us a rundown on it. One of the main questions I have is well, let me back up because some of the citizens may not know at all. There's been identified area from Spring Creek, basically in a V pattern, going all the way up to the Leon County line and into Georgia. As of July 1st, the state will implement the BMAP program, which is the Basin Management Action Plan. And the whole purpose is to reduce nitrates into the springs. And so this is a statewide effort. Each individual BMAP area will have its own set of rules. So what we are looking at here in Wakulla County, starting July 1st, any property that's within that area that is less than 1 acre, so 0.999 and below, 1.0 would be fine. Anything that's less than 1 acre on a new construction septic tank would be required to have a nitrogen reducing tank, whether it be a performance based. There's some other passive tanks that they're starting to investigate right now. So this rule, effective July 1st, is only going to apply. And y'all please step in if I state something wrong.
Well,
Doing well.
Okay.
you're doing well with, the only exception to that is where we're going to be putting sewer in. And
Exactly,
that's
5
what I
years.
mean, 5
If
years.
you're on the 5-year plan to have your property connected to sewer, you're exempt from having to put the septic tank in there.
But you'll have to get on septic within that
Yes,
5 years.
yes,
You will.
yes.
Yeah, you'll have to do one or the other.
Which will be cheaper than trying to go to a performance base.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to make sure the public understands the cost.
Absolutely. And for right now, it only applies to new construction. And I guess there are some criteria which I was not very clear about. If you expand the square footage of your house, under certain conditions, you could have an existing tank be classified as new construction. And so, case by case, we'll have to look at that. But in the probably very near future, the same set of rules is also going to apply to existing septic tanks.
On any size lot?
1 acre, still below, still in that area, in that protection.
I thought it actually said, on the retrofits, they said all septic tank. You got 100
All.
acres, you're going to have, this is within a 20-year time frame, though.
We didn't
It's
cover
long,
that.
long term.
Okay.
They did say all.
That question didn't come up, but they did say that the state is going to help offset that. And from what we were told today, Wakulla County is the only county that's fallen under this criteria for remediation of the existing systems, because septic tanks, not South Leon as well, septic tanks contribute greater than 20% of the nitrate in Wakulla Springs is what they say, and so that's what puts us in that special category. That's bad, or potentially bad, but the potential good side is we're not competing with other counties, so if the state is going to help offset the cost of that, we're not having to fight other counties to get that money. So chances are we can.
Did they say how much they're going to help?
They didn't pin that down.
They budgeted $1 million in the budget for it.
Yeah.
They've also, DEP will also be paying us. We will be administering the program through DEP, and they'll actually, if need be, they'll actually pay for a staff person be on board to take care of it. So it will not be operated through the health department, it'll be operated through the county.
Right.
Funding from DEP.
I'll tell you my take on it, Ralph, are you done with,
Now, I got more, but jump
go
in
ahead,
there.
go ahead.
Now, they did say that they're, how fast and how much is going to be based on a needs analysis, how many people are going to need it right away. Let's see. I specifically asked the question, I said, okay, let's say not July 1st, but when the existing systems now come into play. Someone has a repair that just hypothetically would cost $150 for the repair, but requires a permit. Are you saying that now they would be required to, instead of paying that $150, they're going to have to buy a performance-based tank, which might be $10,000? And they said, yes, that is absolutely correct.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and
Anything that generates or requires a permit. would be
Yeah.
right.
On a lot of .99 or smaller.
Right.
well, and also like one of the examples I used was like for if you had a business and you currently it's a office building and you have a septic system designed for that office building and you turn it into a restaurant. That's a change of use. Therefore, that's where you have to step it up to the next system.
Mm-hmm.
Either sewer or performance-based.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'll talk about, not necessarily.
And they said if you, let's say you decide to put in a swimming pool and your system's perfectly fine, but you want to put it in where your septic tank is, that's going to be a new system as well, or a shed or anything like that.
That's right.
Wow.
Let's see.
This is a big deal I'm telling you, Wakulla County, you better listen, because this is going to be a big deal.
Well, yeah, but there's funding there's going to be funding for it, and there's systems that are getting, as Randy's going to tell you in just a second, or Commissioner Merritt, there are systems that they're testing right now that may very well be inexpensive.
Right. And that's part of the delay. The
That's
reason
right.
they're
That's
not
part of the
rolling this
delay.
out July 1st. They're looking at these passive systems, and they're also figuring or finalizing some Department of Health rules regarding septic
Which
tanks.
I don't understand why they're rolling it out July
It's
1st.
a big deal. If I
Statute
have to go
required
out
that in
and all I got to
2016.
do is fix my drain field, and, well, you got to have a whole new system.
Yeah.
Then it's a big deal.
Oh, and sure.
That's it's not a casual thing.
I
to
don't
put on a
think,
citizen.
if you're just repairing your existing system, I don't think they're going to make you do it. But if you're adding a bedroom, if you're having to increase the drain field
If
size,
any repairs on the system, major repairs on the system.
Repairs or modifications.
Just
Yeah.
said-
any repair.
He just said a $150 repair is going to cause you to have a
Maybe I read it wrong.
$1,000 septic tank.
Yeah.
But that part's not going into effect July 1st, so.
But it's repairs, not maintenance.
Right.
Okay, so if you're pumping out your septic tank, that's not
right.
the same thing.
That's correct.
Good.
That's correct.
Repairs and
And
modifications.
so for most septic tanks, you don't really have repairs very often.
Especially if you have a filter, like mine has, a lot of the newer ones have the filter for the drain field. That has saved many, 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 many drain fields.
And so that, your numbers are real, you spend $150 on your septic tank, but that was just to pump it out. It's not a real repair.
Right. Exactly right. They said that they will evaluate the success of this program in each BMAP on an annual basis. And the question was asked, okay, a year from now, if we're not hitting the numbers, is there a chance that you're going to increase that 1 acre to a larger acreage? And the answer was yes. And so we'll see how that goes. Let's see.
Remember, we have 5 acres now.
Yeah.
We as a board said if you own less than 5 acres, you got to have a performance-based system.
Right.
Which I'll deal with that at a later date, but anyway, when you're done, I'll tell you my take on this.
They announced that they do anticipate an administrative challenge to at least one or more of these. And so each one is self-contained. Let's say someone gives a challenge to Swanee River, then that's going to delay Swanee going into effect July 1st, but it would not delay us. And so, short of a local challenge here, then as long as the governor signs that, it looks like it's going to go into place. Let's see what else. One other thing for the agriculture community, as of today, best management practices are optional. July 1st, they become mandatory for growers. So if you're growing anything, you're going to be required to follow the state best management practice. They gave an example, which I don't know that we've got an example here, but in Jefferson County, they've got plantations where they grow, hundreds of acres of corn just to attract ducks. Yeah, and so they're going to be required to follow best management practices as well. And so that is pretty much the gist of it so
And I-
far.
Yeah, but
And one of the key, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Commissioner.
one of the, I mean, just commenting on the Jefferson County corn, that's going to easily fall into the best management practice. But there are things we could do to alleviate some of the problems, and you know, chemical fertilizers are a big issue here. And if we move to organic fertilizers, okay, it really slows the release. The plants get a better chance to take it up, and less of it flows into the system.
Lower nitrogen content.
Well,
Jason at the health
the
department.
organic is the.
Jason at the health department sent me because I called him about this last week, and he sent me a presentation that they've been giving to all the health department people. And here's my understanding of it. You can either do one of the performance-based systems or a nitrogen reducing ATU, which is aerated treatment unit, which is what they use at the coast. Either if it blows air or pumps stuff, it requires an operating permit. And that's what I think we really need to try to get away from. Now, the passive system is where the drain field has anoxic and aerobic, or you know, in with oxygen and without oxygen, and it has a carbon source, which is sawdust mixed in with some, looks like some loamy to reduce the permeability in it, and that's completely passive. No operating permit, no maintenance contract. That's what I'm hoping, but what I don't understand is they haven't said, here's how to build it. They just got a picture of something, you know, saying maybe this and this. But if they actually had some instructions, which they don't, and said, if you put 12 inches of sawdust mixed with this permeability soil and then do this and that, it may not be a huge deal if that's the way to do it. But if we make everybody do performance-based, I mean, that's good for me because I do them, but it's not good for the citizen because then you got to do ongoing maintenance. So I'm hopeful, which is, I don't understand why they're rolling this rule out. They give you an option for a passive drain field, but they don't tell you how to build it.
Yeah.
Well, that's something that they're testing right now. That they're,
Well, if they're
in
just
Leon
testing
County,
it.
there's a program that they're installing these at different depths
Right.
at people's houses. The problem is it's going to take
That's my
takes
point.
a while to
Why
to
start
test it
enforcing the
out.
rule now if
Yeah.
you
They're
don't,
ready. They're not ready.
they're not ready to
Yeah.
enforce it? They can make everybody do performance-based, but, you know, performance-based says it's going to meet this 10 milligrams per liter of treatment
Right.
capacity. Now, you can do one with a ATU with a nitrogen removal that's not performance-based, but it still requires an operating permit. So they give a list of things that are deemed to comply. If you do a fast system, for example, they said it meets the criteria of the BMAP. But they don't give the criteria for the passive drain field.
One of your problems is not only performance-based, but they're going to require an inspection
Yeah.
on those things.
Operating
On the
permit.
active
that's right.
system.
And that's expensive.
The only option that they say is viable, that does not include an operating permit, a maintenance contract, is the passive drain field. And that's the one that is the least explained in any way, shape, or form.
And I guess they mentioned, I guess it's the same one they mentioned today. They talked about it's basically a traditional system with the drain field, except under the drain
Under the
field,
drain field.
there's filtering that's in place that would
Well,
trap.
there's a carbon source
Yeah.
to convert the nitrogen
Right.
from, you know, to
So
gas.
it doesn't go
right?
straight into the ground.
Converts it to gas through biological processes,
Yeah.
and it's very effective, apparently, 60-70% nitrogen reduction, and it's no maintenance to the homeowner.
Right. You just need a lot more depth, and if you run into pipe clay, if you run into areas like that, you're gonna have a
Well,
High
Yeah.
groundwater table, it's got to come on up.
Yeah,
That's
well,
right.
High groundwater
water
table is a
table.
problem, but probably in most cases, it would be just fine.
Also, just let the public know, the Department of Health is not going to come around to your door come July 1st knocking on your door. That won't happen. It's not an enforcement system. So, but you know, the good news is that we have going on here in the county is we are converting, unlike other counties, we are converting at a rapid rate septic systems to our sewer system. So we are doing that, and as Commissioner Thomas will tell you, we've got commitments from DEP to continue that funding for that, which weighs really good for our county.
And just another shot across the bow, this apparently is going through. I think I'll probably bring an agenda item forward to have our comp plan match the BMAP.
Mhm.
You know, we shouldn't be making, if you have 3 acres, we shouldn't be telling them they got to do performance-based when the state's telling them it's fine to do a regular septic tank.
And they also mentioned the funding that we've received. Northwest Florida Water Management District was there today as well. And, you know, I was a little nervous when they mentioned that because we got about 10 other counties in there. We're the only ones that's receiving that funding. but we're the ones at the most critical need apparently.
Yep.
And so they reiterated that, their commitment to continuing that. And I asked the question is, okay, if we're successful at that and get more septic tanks out and we get below that 20% threshold, does that mean we're likely to eliminate the requirement to replace? And the answer was yes on that. So it's all a matter of how successful this is and how the monitoring works. And if we can get below that 20%, then this may only apply to new systems. I also asked if they were boxed in by the statute or if they had, broad discretion, and they said they do. They just want to show results. They just want to show progress on this thing. So as long as it's improving the nitrogen in the river, I think we'll be fine.
Thank you.
This is a little bit on a different note. We do have a famous dog in the county. We have a very famous dog that people should be watching for on the highway. His name is Surf Dog. It seems like Bill Russell is his protectorate, but this particular dog travels between Sop Choppy, the coast, Medart, and he does it on a regular basis. So
At the Walmart, I've seen him over by Walmart.
So when you're traveling down the road, be careful about watching out for Surf Dog, because he's a very famous dog now, and everybody along the road's trying to pet him and feed him, and he won't let anybody
I should have named
generally
it Forrest
touch
Gump,
him.
because all he does is go back and forth.
So he's going to be the last seal of Wakulla County shortly.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you all for coming out tonight.
That was that one, huh?